feel you, Joanna.
I'm Sam Gravitte, and I'm playing Anthony Hope at Sweeney Todd Theater Under the Stars.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for talking with us today. I
Yeah.
absolutely adored the show last night. Opening night was so much fun. Um, and of course, Sweeney Todd is definitely one of the iconic shows that's a little bit on the darker side. What do you think it is about a show like Sweeney Todd that keeps audiences coming back again and again?
Well, a few things, but the first thing that comes to my mind is the score, which I think is I don't have a unique opinion in expressing that. I think it's the most brilliant score ever written for musical theater, and it's just especially when you get to see it on a scale like we're doing it here with a 23-piece orchestra, a cast of 30 on stage, and you have voices from the Houston Grand Opera joining us in the ensemble. It just, I think the scale of things is really, really exciting. But the show itself is such a masterfully crafted story, in addition to being a masterfully crafted score. So when all of those elements cohere in the way that they do for a piece like Sweeney Todd, it's like, oh yeah, there is the possibility of how good musical theater can be. So it's really I've been saying to all my friends back at home, it's I feel so lucky to go to work every day knowing that what you're working on is so good and that you don't have to second guess anything. You just have to sort of dig in and mine as much as you can, and there's always more layers to peel back because the material is so good, and it's a gift as an actor.
Well, I definitely could not agree more. And one of the things that I did want to talk about when we talk about the music of the show, of course, the score itself is fantastic, and it's such an earworm because I know the entire drive home I had it playing on a loop in my head. But the other thing that is so great about the music in the show are the lyrics. They're so witty, they're so fun. What are your thoughts on the songs in the show, and do you have a favorite song in the show?
Yeah, I mean, that's the genius of Sondheim, right? Is that everything is deliberate and expertly crafted and meaningful. So, and that comes down to every single word. And what's exciting about a show like Sweeney is that you can revisit it however many times over the course of, what, 44 years since it opened, and every time you're going to discover something new. You're going to hear a new lyric, you're going to hear a song in a new way because of a choice that an actor has made, and it keeps it alive. I think it's one of the reasons that it's one of those shows that people want to do over and over again, because again, there's more to discover, and you sort of in the audience or on stage you go, oh yeah, that song, oh yeah, that lyric, and you can pick those things out. I come back to a number of songs in the show. I mean, to stand on stage and to sing Joanna in front of a 23-piece orchestra like this in this sort of space is really exciting, especially since I've been singing that song to my shower head since I was 12 years old. So that's really wonderful. I also love musically the quartet, which is the second number in Act Two. It's also called Joanna, but it's Sweeney, Antony, Joanna, and the beggar woman as they sort of trade off perspectives. And I think that music is really beautifully woven and interesting. And then there's a really fun um, section called The Letter, where this quintet of voices steps forward and sort of um, sings this letter that Sweeney is composing. And it's interesting because Sondheim himself actually said that it was that little section was his favorite piece to write. And it's probably one of the least what we would think of as melodic songs in the show, but it is a sort of mini play within the piece, musically and storytelling wise. And that's always really exciting to hear with those incredible voices.
No, one of the things that I absolutely loved about the performance last night, everybody's got such a powerful voice in the show, and it's amazing to hear, obviously, again, with the the live orchestra and just so many powerful voices on stage. And one of the things I couldn't help thinking as I was looking around the audience at intermission is how many younger people were attending the show and getting to see this for the first time on stage. What was your first introduction to Sweeney Todd? And what was that experience like for you?
I watched the movie with my family when I probably 12 or something, maybe, yeah, which is a little young for Sweeney Todd, but I remember my dad being really excited because he had seen Len Cariou and Angela Lansbury in the original production.
Wow.
And then we watched the movie, and there was this sort of like, my dad was like, okay, yeah, the movie. And what I would come to learn in falling in love with the show was that the movie sort of excises what I think is probably the most genius piece of the show, which is the chorus. This giant Greek chorus that comes and sort of narrates and takes us through time and has some of the best music in the show. So I think to do the movie without that element was an error, but it's a great movie, and I think it's a nice sort of foot in the door to what this show is. And then I had the 2 disc set of the original cast recording, and burned that thing out, learning every single lyric. I like I literally would go into Word, copy and paste lyrics. Like I remember having the sheet of Little Priest singing along and like learning the lyrics because I was a normal 12-year-old and we all
That's
did that,
incredible. I love
right?
that. That's
Right?
amazing. And I love that you bring up the movie. I think we're in a really special time right now where so many more musical adaptations are getting brought to the screen, and it's such a great way to introduce so many people to theater that may not have taken the time to go buy a ticket, go down to the theater and see a show. It's a good way to make people realize, you know what, this may actually be my thing, even though you don't think it's your thing.
Yeah. I also think you're sort of seeing that in a lot of TV shows and other things like that. So if you think like 3 TV shows come to mind right away recently, you have Only Murders in the Building, you have Big Mouth, you have Sex Education, like all these sorts of shows that have an episode where they get to where eventually like they're doing a musical. And I think it's because like so many of those creators, those actors, those writers, we all start in the same place. We all start like doing the show in high school or in middle school or in elementary school, and oftentimes it's a musical. And it sort of feels like home to a lot of us. So to have it more sort of communicated to the masses via TV is exciting because I think like when people get to plug back into their roots where they come from theatrically, it's always sort of like a love letter to musicals, and Sweeney is one that begets a lot of love. So lucky to be doing it here.
Absolutely. And, to kind of shift gears off of necessarily like the singing and the music in the show, one of the other things that I feel like every production I've ever seen of Sweeney has always done very, very well is the set design. And TUTS is no different. They have really pulled out all the stops. What can you tell audiences about the sets that they can expect to see when they see the show?
Yeah, so the set that we are using is based off of the original design, the 1979 design, but it was actually this set that you're seeing was used in at Pittsburgh CLO, the Civic Light Opera, and it's sort of on lend from PCLO, and it's been refurbished by our amazing crew backstage, led by our guy Shane, the head carpenter. And the crew are doing amazing work with it because there is a fixed set, but then at the centerpiece there is this cube that rotates by manpower. So they're working their asses. Can I say that? They're working their
Again,
tails off on stage as much as we are to make the show happen. But the set really comes alive as it rotates and becomes a sort of another character on stage for us. And it's been really fun. There's a lot of levels, and the projection design, I think, is another element that's been really exciting for me. I've sort of often found myself sort of allergic to projections because I think they can get cartoonish pretty quickly, but our team has, I think, really skillfully sort of threaded the needle in terms of the designs that feel very much like they're lifting the story, not distracting in any way. Really beautifully done work. So yeah, the scenic elements are all, I think, really exceptional and help lift the story off the page as much as anything else.
Could not agree more. And this is a very fun and immersive experience for audiences. I cannot wait for Houston to get out and see this show. I always like to end on this question. Why do you think Houston audiences need to come out and see Sweeney Todd?
Well, it's a spooky time, isn't it? I think beyond like the programming being really great and intelligent by Dan Connectus and the folks at TUTS, being in October and sort of getting to lean into the scares and the spookiness of the show. Beyond all that, like we've been discussing this whole time, Sweeney is, I think, the perfect gateway drug for folks who are a little more skeptical of like what we might consider something more golden age musical theater, even though it's not, like it's technically after that era, but it is, I think, a consummate musical. It is a perfect demonstration of how amazing and how like in your skin a story can get when music and acting and scenic design all come together to really thrust something off the page and into real life. So it's like, I think there's no better way to fall in love with musical theater than through Sondheim, and there's no better way to continue your love affair with musical theater than through Sondheim. So it's honestly, it's been a gift to work on. I feel really, really lucky. And I can't wait to see everyone at the theater because it's a treat, I think, for everyone on stage and in the audience.
Well, I could not have said it better myself. So there you have it, guys. You really need to get down to Theater Under the Stars. Come out and see Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. You will not be disappointed. The show runs now through October 29th. It is, just like Sam said, the perfect cherry on the top for spooky season. Like, it doesn't get any better than this, and I promise you will have a blast. Tickets are on sale now at tuts.com. Sam, thank you so much for your time today. You were amazing.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for coming to the show.
Absolutely. And this has been Ray with the Houston Film Fanatics, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.